world called it a war. Not because blood was spilled on streets, but because lives were ruined quietly, behind glass buildings and signed contracts. The Jeon Group and the Kim Empire had been destroying each other for 3 years. Hostile takeovers, court cases, stock crashes, threats disguised as boardroom smiles. And in the middle of it all, Kim Taehyung. He stood silently at the end of the long dining table in the Kim mansion, his hands clenched behind his back, nails digging into his own skin. "Look at him," his father scoffed. "Useless, can't even contribute to the company." Taehyung didn't lift his eyes. His stepmother's heel clicked against the marble floor as she circled him like a predator. "You're useless, Taehyung," she sneered, pacing in front of him. "Your father works hard for this family, and all you do is sit here, sulking, hiding, thinking the world owes you something." "Pathetic," she whispered, low enough for only him to hear. "Remember who owns you." Taehyung swallowed. His ribs still ached from the night before. The bruises were hidden beneath silk, expensive clothes meant to hide damage, not dignity. "You will marry Taehyung Jungkook." The words fell like a death sentence. Taehyung finally looked up. "What?" His voice cracked, barely audible. His father leaned back in his chair, eyes cold. "The Jeon family wants peace. Jungkook wants a spouse. You'll be the sacrifice." "I don't," Taehyung's breath stuttered. "I don't want to." A sharp slap echoed across the room. The world tilted. "You don't get to want anything," his stepmother hissed. Taehyung tasted blood. Across town, Taehyung Jungkook, 25, adjusted the cuff of his tailored black suit as he prepared to meet the Kim family. The youngest son of the Jeon family, Jungkook had long grown used to the weight of his family's expectations, their constant strategizing over mergers and acquisitions. But tonight, his purpose wasn't business, at least not exactly. Taehyung Jungkook was known as a monster in the industry. Cold, ruthless, unmarried at 30, no scandals, no lovers, no weaknesses. In the Kim mansion, the tension reached a fever pitch as Mr. Kim cleared his throat, finally addressing the gathering. "Jungkook, thank you for coming. As you know, our families have had disagreements in the past. But business is business, and we must find a solution that ensures both sides benefit." Jungkook inclined his head politely, maintaining a composed demeanor. "Of course, Mr. Kim. I believe we can find common ground." Miss Park, standing behind her husband, gave a sly smile. "Actually, I have a proposal." Her voice was sweet but dripping with manipulation. "A marriage alliance between Taehyung and Jungkook. It would end any potential disputes and strengthen both families permanently." The room fell silent. Taehyung's heart sank, his stomach twisting in knots. His stepmother's schemes always hurt someone, but now she had targeted him directly. Taehyung's throat felt dry. He opened his mouth, wanting to speak, but words failed him. Before he could protest, Jungkook's gaze met his. For a brief moment, Taehyung caught a flicker of something, concern, kindness, or just polite curiosity. Noticed the way he flinched, the bruises hidden beneath silk. Jungkook had known. For months, he had known because he paid people to know. Because the moment Taehyung's name was mentioned as a bargaining chip, Jungkook had already decided this marriage was not business. It was something else for him. It's an honor, Jungkook said smoothly, his voice even. I will do my best to make this union successful. Taehyung's chest tightened. The words were formal, but the look in Jungkook's eyes was strange. It was not the cold, calculating look of a businessman. There was care, something unspoken, yet profound. He remembered seeing Taehyung months ago at a charity gala. A young man standing quietly by the window, dressed in a sleek black suit, eyes wandering yet filled with something fragile, something raw. Jungkook had felt an unfamiliar pull at that moment, a sensation that made him step closer just to see him better. The world had dimmed around him when he saw Taehyung smile briefly at a joke someone had told. It wasn't a confident smile, not one that belonged to someone secure and protected. It was small, cautious, and fleeting, yet it had burned into Jungkook's mind. Something in him wanted to shield that fragile light from the darkness surrounding it. That night, Taehyung lay awake in his room, staring at the ceiling, his stepmother's words replayed in his mind. He felt trapped, suffocated, and more alone than ever. And yet, a tiny spark of curiosity burned when he thought of Jungkook. Why had his eyes lingered on him? Why did he feel different from all the others? He shook his head. Foolish. He had no right to think such things. This marriage wasn't about love. It was a business transaction. His life, once again, was not his own. The wedding day arrived with all the pomp and ceremony one could imagine. The chandeliers sparkled, the orchestras played, and the guests whispered about the powerful union. Taehyung moved through it all like a ghost, feeling detached, fragile, and yet strangely aware of Jungkook's presence at his side. During the vows, as he looked into Jungkook's eyes, Taehyung felt a flicker of hope and fear. Could someone really care for him beyond duty or pity? Or would this marriage simply chain him further into the loneliness he had always known? When the ceremony ended and the crowd erupted into applause, Jungkook leaned slightly toward him, murmuring, I'll protect you, Taehyung, always. Taehyung's heart thudded painfully. For the first time in years, he felt a dangerous mix of fear and longing. Little did he know, the storm of emotions, betrayals, and truths yet to come would shake the foundations of both their lives and test the very meaning of love, trust, and family. The morning sunlight filtered softly through the silk curtains of the Kim Jeon residence, painting the spacious bedroom in warm gold. Taehyung stirred beneath the crisp white sheets, feeling an unfamiliar weight on his chest, a mix of anxiety, guilt, and something else he didn't yet name. His hands instinctively tugged at the hem of his long-sleeved pajamas, subconsciously trying to hide the faint bruises that crept along his forearms. He hated that he even cared. On the other side of the room, the faint sound of footsteps made him tense. Jungkook entered silently, holding a tray with tea and a small breakfast. His eyes, sharp yet soft, scanned the room before landing on Taehyung. For a moment, he hesitated, sensing the unease radiating from him. "Good morning," Jungkook said softly, placing the tray on the nightstand. "Sleep well?" Taehyung glanced up, his eyes wary. I I guess," he murmured, avoiding Jungkook's gaze. Jungkook nodded, sitting on the edge of the bed carefully. He reached for the blanket, adjusting it gently over Taehyung's shoulders. His gaze flicked downward, noticing the faint discoloration along Taehyung's wrists. "Taehyung, are you hurt?" he asked, voice calm but firm. Taehyung's heart skipped. No one had ever asked him that before, not really. He hesitated, feeling a strange mix of fear and relief. It's nothing," he whispered, looking away. Jungkook's hand remained near him, patient but steady. "I don't think it's nothing. You don't have to hide it from me. I just want you to be safe." Taehyung froze. No one had ever spoken to him like that. Not his father, not his stepmother, and certainly not anyone else. For the first time, he felt the dangerous warmth of trust flickering in his chest and fear of letting it grow. Taehyung sat at the kitchen island later that day, untouched tea cooling in front of him. The TV played softly in the background. Breaking news. Kim Group headquarters has been raided this morning following allegations of financial misconduct and abuse of power. Escalating allegations of financial misconduct and abuse of power. Taehyung's hands trembled. Sources confirm arrest warrants are being prepared. His chest tightened painfully. How can this be possible? This was his fault. It had to be. The screen shifted to footage his father being escorted through a building, face twisted in rage and humiliation. Taehyung stood abruptly, chair clattering backward. Jungkook appeared instantly, blocking the screen with his body. "Don't," Jungkook said. "I didn't want this," Taehyung whispered, voice cracking. "I didn't want them to face consequences." Jungkook cut in, tone sharp. "They earned this. You did this. Who are you?" Taehyung asked, stepping back in disbelief. Why? Why did you do this?" "I didn't want this," Taehyung whispered, voice cracking. "I didn't want them to face consequences." Jungkook cut in, tone sharp. "They earned this. They dared to lay a hand on my husband. And I didn't need to do anything. I just showed the world what they had done, their real face." Taehyung shook his head, tears spilling. "They'll hurt me for this. They always." "They can't," Jungkook said firmly. Taehyung laughed weakly. "You don't understand. They'll find a way." Jungkook stepped closer. "They don't get access to you anymore," he said. "Not legally, not physically, not financially." He pulled Taehyung into his chest, letting him hide there, heartbeat strong and steady beneath his ear. Taehyung clutched Jungkook's shirt like it was oxygen. "I'm sorry," Taehyung whispered. "I'm weak." Jungkook's jaw tightened. "You survived," he murmured. "That's not weakness." That night, Taehyung slept in Jungkook's arms. Nothing more. And everything changed. In the following weeks, living together became a delicate dance. Jungkook observed Taehyung's anxiety, noticing the way he flinched at loud voices, the small scars hidden beneath tailored sleeves. Each revelation only deepened Jungkook's desire to protect him, to show him what love could feel like when it was free of judgment or abuse. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the walls Taehyung had built around himself began to crumble. He caught himself leaning into Jungkook's presence, craving reassurance and the quiet moments where they could share stolen smiles and fleeting touches. And unbeknownst to him, Jungkook's own obsession deepened. He recalled the night at the party months ago when he first saw Taehyung, how his heart had stopped, how every instinct had screamed that this man needed protection, care, and love. And now, living with him, feeling him close, Jungkook was determined to do whatever it took to heal the broken pieces of Taehyung's heart, even if it meant enduring the painful misunderstandings that would surely come. As the days passed, the slow burn between them intensified, moments of longing glances, subtle touches that lingered longer than necessary, whispered words in the dark that hinted at the passion and desire they both felt but were too afraid to fully express. But beneath the growing intimacy, the storm of past abuse still lingered in Taehyung's heart, a shadow that neither time nor affection had fully erased. And Jungkook didn't know that the true test of their bond was still to come. One rainy evening, Jungkook found Taehyung standing by the window, staring blankly at the droplets sliding down the glass. The suit he had changed into clung damply to his form, revealing the tension in his shoulders and the pale lines of his wrists. "You shouldn't be standing here alone in the rain," Jungkook said quietly, moving closer. I I like the rain," Taehyung replied, voice distant. It makes things feel less heavy." Jungkook reached out, lightly placing a hand on Taehyung's arm. The contact sent an electric shock through Taehyung. He stiffened, then slowly relaxed into the touch, though his eyes remained wary. "You don't have to be strong all the time," Jungkook murmured. "You can lean on me." Taehyung's heart raced. Desire and fear collided in a storm he had never experienced. He hated that he wanted this, the touch, the closeness, but he couldn't deny it. His body responded, betraying the careful walls he had built around himself. Jungkook noticed, always noticing. The slight shiver that ran through Taehyung, the way his breath hitched when Jungkook leaned just a little closer. He didn't push yet, but he didn't retreat either. He let the tension simmer, letting Taehyung feel, letting desire grow slowly, painfully. You're tense," Jungkook said quietly, stepping closer. The warmth of his body brushed Taehyung's side, sending another shiver through him. "I'm fine," Taehyung muttered, but his voice was weak. His chest tightened, his mind screaming at him to run, to hide, but his body betrayed him, leaning unconsciously toward the heat of Jungkook's presence. Jungkook's hand hovered near Taehyung's, finally brushing his fingers against the back of Taehyung's hand. The touch was electric, deliberate, intimate, and Taehyung's resolve began to crumble. "Jungkook," Taehyung's voice was hesitant, almost fearful. I don't know if I can." "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for," Jungkook interrupted, his lips brushing Taehyung's temple. "I want this, us, to be because you want it, not because I demanded." Despite himself, Taehyung's body responded. A shiver ran down his spine, a warmth spreading from his chest to his fingertips. He had never felt this sensation before, not just lust, but safety intertwined with desire. Taehyung finally allowed himself to surrender to the moment. Jungkook was gentle yet passionate, guiding him through every hesitation, every doubt. It was tender, a first step in breaking Taehyung's walls. Jungkook's hands were firm but considerate, his lips warm and reverent, his voice whispering promises of protection, love, and unyielding devotion. Over the following days, their connection deepened. Jungkook would watch Taehyung flinch at sudden noises, then quietly reassure him. He arranged the suite to be comforting, removed unnecessary pressures, and silently bore the tension. Taehyung, in turn, struggled with his growing emotions. There were moments he wanted to flee, to retreat into the safety of solitude, but Jungkook's unwavering presence anchored him. He began to notice subtle things. The way Jungkook's hand lingered on his back when he walked, the warmth of his arms when he held him, the way he smiled softly when Taehyung spoke. To the world, Jeon Jungkook was a tyrant. He spoke little, he smiled never. He kept his husband at arm's length in public. Tabloids whispered, a political marriage, a bought spouse, a cold bed. Taehyung heard it all. He stood beside Jungkook at events, hands folded neatly, eyes lowered just like he had been trained to do all his life. What no one saw, Jungkook placing himself between Taehyung and anyone who raised their voice. Jungkook ending meetings early when Taehyung's hands shook. Jungkook memorizing every trigger Taehyung never spoke aloud. And still, Taehyung believed Jungkook didn't want him, because Jungkook never touched him in front of others, never claimed him, never said his name with softness where anyone could hear. That silence hurt more than bruises. It happened after a charity gala. Taehyung had excused himself early, overwhelmed by the noise, the lights, the way people looked at him like an object passed between families. He didn't notice the shadow in the hallway, didn't hear the footsteps until, still playing husband, his stepmother's voice. Taehyung froze. You think wearing silk and diamonds changes what you are? She sneered, fingers digging into his arm. Useless. Your father is near the bankruptcy and see, here you are enjoying your life. Taehyung's breath shattered. Old fear rushed in like poison. She raised her hand, and it never landed. Jungkook's grip was iron. Take your hand off him. The temperature dropped. His stepmother laughed nervously. He's my... If you touch him again, Jungkook said quietly, I will make sure you never use that hand again. She left. Taehyung slid down the wall, shaking. Jungkook knelt instantly, hands hovering again, always asking without words. I'm sorry, Taehyung whispered, tears streaking down his face. I shouldn't be like this. I'm embarrassing. Jungkook's control cracked. He pulled Taehyung into his chest, hard, protective, real. No, Jungkook said, voice rough. You should never have survived that alone. That night, Taehyung didn't pull away. He stayed, curled against Jungkook's body, fingers fisting into his shirt, breathing slowly, syncing with Jungkook's steady heart. Jungkook kissed his hair once, then again hesitant, like he was afraid to ruin something sacred. Taehyung tilted his face up. Their lips met. This time, it wasn't tentative. It was desperate, soft, hungry in the way starving people reach for bread. Jungkook's hand slid to Taehyung's waist, still careful, still controlled, but Taehyung pressed closer, seeking warmth, seeking proof. "Please," Taehyung whispered, not even sure what he was asking for. "Don't stop because you think I'll break." Jungkook exhaled sharply. "I'm stopping because if I don't," he admitted, forehead resting against Taehyung's, "I won't know how to hold back." They undressed each other slowly, clothes falling like layers of fear. Skin met skin, not rushed, not claimed. Every touch was permission. Every kiss was a question answered with a nod. When they finally lay together, it was intimate without being consuming. Jungkook, guiding, grounding, never crossing the line Taehyung wasn't ready for. Days later, Taehyung overheard it. A boardroom conversation. A careless sentence. He knew about the abuse, someone said. That's why he agreed to the marriage so fast. The world tilted. Taehyung felt sick. So that was it? Yet suspicion lingered. Taehyung's curiosity and fear collided that evening. Did you know about my situation before all this?" he asked, voice trembling. Jungkook froze for a moment, then met his gaze with unflinching honesty. "Yes," he admitted. "I saw you months ago at a party. I couldn't stop thinking about you, and then I learned about your stepmother, the abuse. I couldn't just stand by." "Was I charity?" Taehyung asked, voice shaking. "A project? A broken thing you decided to fix?" Jungkook froze. "You think I married you because I felt sorry for you? Didn't you?" Taehyung whispered. "Because I was weak, because I needed saving." Jungkook's silence was answer enough. Taehyung's heart cracked. "I wanted to be chosen," he said softly, "not rescued." He walked away, and Jungkook, who had faced wars without flinching, stood there, realizing he had protected Taehyung from everything except the truth. Anger burned hot in Taehyung's veins, and betrayal cut deeper than any bruise his stepmother had ever inflicted. "I was a charity case to him," he whispered to himself, voice trembling. "He never loved me, he just pitied me." The illusion of safety and affection that Jungkook had built around him shattered. Without a word, Taehyung packed a small bag and left the suite. Every step he took was fueled by hurt, by humiliation, and by the need to escape the man he had begun to trust. He walked out of the mansion before dawn, the city still asleep, heart pounding like it might tear itself apart just to escape his chest. He didn't want to be protected, he wanted to be wanted. The car stopped at the old Kim estate because trauma always pulls you back to its source. His stepmother was waiting in the hallway, her smile razor sharp. "Well, look who's back," she said, her tone dripping with malice. "I wondered how long it would take for you to crawl back to your rightful place." Taehyung's chest tightened, but he said nothing, only moving past her. Haejin's sharp laugh echoed behind him, a sound that reminded him why he had never truly felt safe here.
Taehyung's voice did not shake this time. "I am done," his stepmother laughed. "You think Jeon Jungkook will protect you forever?" Taehyung did not answer. Taehyung had been trying to escape to his room when she blocked his path. "You think you can defy me? You will never be anything but a disappointment," she hissed. In a moment of rage and cruelty, she shoved him. Taehyung lost his footing, his foot catching on the edge of the marble stairs. He fell, tumbling down with a sickening crash, pain exploding through his body. Blood blossomed on the floor. For a moment, the world went silent around him. Pain was sharp, suffocating, but so was fear. The fear that no one would come for him this time. "I told you," his stepmother whispered, crouching beside him, fingers gripping his hair. "You are nothing but a useless trash." Meanwhile, miles away, Jungkook's instinct screamed something was wrong. His phone has been unanswered for hours, messages unread, a deep, gnawing worry took root, stronger than any anxiety he had ever felt. Without hesitation, Jungkook raced to the Kim estate. The city lights blurred past him as he drove, heart hammering in his chest. When he arrived, the sight that greeted him froze him in place.
Taeyang lay at the bottom of the grand staircase, blood pooling around him, pale and still. His eyes fluttered weakly, searching the ceiling, and when they met Jungkook's, a faint recognition sparked. "Taeyang!" Jungkook shouted, rushing forward, scooping him into his arms. Every inch of him screamed panic, fear, and an overwhelming need to protect the man he loved. The boy's eyes fluttered weakly, and a gurgling whisper escaped his lips. I'm sorry." "Shh, don't apologize. You're going to be fine," Jungkook whispered fiercely, tears streaming down his face. "I swear I'll never let anyone hurt you again." He scooped Taehyung into his arms, ignoring the searing pain of the fall, carrying him out through the storm to the waiting car. That night, as he sat beside Taehyung's hospital bed, brushing damp hair from his face, Jungkook's voice broke through the sterile quiet. "I love you, Taehyung," he whispered, voice trembling with raw intensity. "Not because I pity you, not because you're weak. I love you because you are you. Always have, always will. You are not alone, ever again." Taehyung's hand twitched weakly in Jungkook's. His mind, clouded with pain and heartbreak, struggled to accept the words. Could he truly trust this love after everything? Could he believe that someone could see him, truly see him, and still want him? When Taehyung stirred weakly, blinking against the harsh fluorescent lights, Jungkook leaned in, brushing a damp strand of hair from his forehead. His voice cracked. "Taehyung, listen to me. I need you to hear this. I love you. I've loved you since the first moment I saw you. Not pity, not duty. Love, pure and simple. You are everything I've ever wanted, everything I could ever hope for." Taehyung's eyes fluttered open, still clouded with pain and confusion. He tried to speak, but only managed a hoarse whisper. You're lying." "No," Jungkook said firmly, pressing a trembling hand to Taehyung's cheek. "I swear I'm not. Every word, every promise, every heartbeat, it's yours. Always yours." Tears welled in Taehyung's eyes. The world he had known full of abuse, betrayal, and fear was colliding with something new, something terrifyingly beautiful. Could he allow himself to believe? Could he trust Jungkook after everything? I I don't know if I can, Taehyung whispered, voice shaking. I've never been loved like this. Jungkook leaned closer, his forehead resting gently against Taehyung's. Then let me show you, he murmured. Let me be the first person to love you fully. Every scar, every bruise, every fear, I'll take it all and turn it into safety, into love. The tension between them, fragile and raw, began to melt. Slowly, cautiously, Taehyung allowed his trembling fingers to touch Jungkook's hand, seeking reassurance. Jungkook's grip tightened, warm and protective, a silent promise of devotion. As Taehyung's condition stabilized over the next few days, their connection deepened. Jungkook remained by his side, attending to every need, speaking in gentle tones, and holding him through nightmares and restless nights. The intimacy they shared gradually resumed, this time with consent, trust, and mutual desire. The Kim family fell, not quietly, not gently. Jungkook destroyed them legally, financially, publicly. The business war ended in ash. But Taehyung watched it all with hollow eyes. Taehyung leaned into him, feeling the steady warmth of his chest, the protection that Jungkook had always offered. Their lips met in a long, tender kiss, an affirmation of trust, love, and the deep bond forged through pain and healing. Days turned into weeks, and Taehyung slowly regained confidence, reclaiming his rightful place within the family and in the world. With Jungkook by his side, he learned to navigate both the business world and personal life with newfound assurance. Their nights together deepened in intimacy, each touch, each whispered word, a delicate reinforcement of the love that had grown through hardship. Jungkook's patience, his unwavering affection, allowed Taehyung to explore both desire and emotional vulnerability without fear. Every kiss, every gentle caress became a promise. You are safe, you are loved, you are mine. They both knew that the dark chapters of the past were finally behind them. The betrayal, the pain, the abuse, all transformed into a story of resilience, love, and redemption. And together, they stepped forward into a future defined not by fear or manipulation, but by trust, passion, and the unshakable certainty that they belonged to one another,